You're listening to Women's Media Center Live with Robin Morgan.
Welcome to Women's Media Center Live. I'm Robin Morgan, and we have a great show for you today. We have some good news for a change. Regina Scully is our guest, and she is the founding mother of Women's Media Center Live with Robin Morgan. Regina is a philanthropist and, most of all, a great filmmaker. Documentaries and Emmy Award-winning, prize-winning, oh my God, incredible films. We'll talk about them. But recently, she was invited to Sophia Loren's 90th birthday party, and I thought, that's too good to pass up, and I've got to get her on the show to talk about what happened. So she's here to do precisely that. And we have lots of other good news. So before we get too mired in preambles, why, let's just go inside the headlines. First, this is what we're up against, and then how we're fighting it. Inside a stadium in the authoritarian Petro state of Azerbaijan, diplomatic deliberations to slow down climate change are snagged over money. Outside, the burning of fossil fuels has exacted incalculable human losses. Millions of people are suffering, nature is losing. Here is a partial accounting of this year's calamities month by month, and how some of the planet's most vulnerable are trying to cope in creative ways. January. What is shaping up to be the hottest year on record began with the warmest January on record. February, a months-long drought gripped southern Africa. The rains failed to arrive in February when the maize, which is the staple grain, needed it most. Crops died. Cattle died. Some 27 million people, many already on the edge of hunger, lacked sufficient food. It was driven by a natural weather cycle known as El Niño, which arrived on top of rising temperatures. March. Air and ocean were record hot, as they had been for the last several months. In March, the average global sea surface temperature reached a monthly high of 21.07 degrees Celsius, or nearly 70 degrees Fahrenheit. It sparked a mass bleaching event in Australia's Great Barrier Reef, home to 400 types of corals that nurture thousands of species of fish. It was the fourth and largest such bleaching event on record. April. The world as a whole experienced the warmest April on record, the 11th in a string of months that broke temperature records. A heat wave spread across parts of South and Southeast Asia, with temperatures soaring past 100 degrees Fahrenheit for days at a time. For millions of children, it was simply too hot to learn. Schools closed in Bangladesh, India, and the Philippines. May. Dangerous heat blanketed parts of India, posing some of the greatest threats to outdoor workers. A novel insurance program created by a union representing informal laborers like fruit vendors and trash pickers paid out small amounts of money to women who missed days of work because of the extreme heat. June. The worst wildfires in 2 decades in the Pantanal wetlands of Brazil incinerated more than 1 million hectares. The culprits, deforestation and drought, exacerbated by climate change. Among the victims, rare species of jaguar and parrots who make their home in the Pantanal, the world's, former at least, largest tropical wetland. July. Hurricane Beryl pummeled Caribbean nations, including Grenada, Jamaica, and St. Vincent and the Grenadines. It also became the first hurricane to trigger an innovative financial solution in Grenada that could bring relief to other storm-prone countries: a pause in debt payments. August. Europe had its hottest August on record, capping its hottest summer on record. High temperatures aggravated drought and fire risk. A wildfire raced downhill toward Athens. A nature reserve in the north of Rome blazed. Olives withered on their branches in southern Italy. Europe, ironically, is heating up faster than any other continent. September. The rich and poor world were inundated. In Chad and Nigeria, a region where conflicts have repeatedly driven people from home, floods displaced hundreds of thousands of people and washed away crops. On the other side of the world, Hurricane Helene swung like a wrecking ball through much of the southern United States. Nearly 230 people died, making it the deadliest hurricane to hit the continental United States since Katrina in 2005. October. In Valencia, Spain, there was an extraordinary deluge. In one town, a year's worth of rain fell in the span of 8 hours. Valencia recorded 202 deaths. Anger boiled over at provincial government officials for a failure to send evacuation alerts in a timely manner. November. New York City issued a rare drought warning as the northeastern United States reeled from an exceptionally dry autumn season. Brush fires broke out across the region as fall leaves turned to tinder. And we could see that one of the greatest cities in the world will burn. These are only some of the effects of climate change in the last year. We can expect them to accelerate in this year, particularly given the United States administration setting an example for the world. A bad example. But there's good news, too. There's fight back. There's fighting words. And at the end of the program, we'll talk about what we're doing to stop the carnage, to stop the destruction, to make a world that's safe for ourselves and our children and our grandchildren and each other. We have to take a short break here, but I will return directly with, in tow, the filmmaker and party attendee, Regina Scully, a good friend, a sister in every way that can be described. Subscribe to this program on your favorite podcast platform and leave us a review. Follow us on Twitter at WMC Live, like our Facebook page at facebook.com/WMC Live, and visit us at WMCLive.com for more information about our show and our guests.
You're listening to Women's Media Center Live with Robin Morgan.
My guest for today's conversation is a member of the board of directors of the Women's Media Center, among her many other occupations. It's Regina Scully, and she's a returnee to the program. She is the founder and CEO of Artemis Rising Foundation, wonderful name, a philanthropic organization dedicated to developing and promoting media, education, and the arts that transform our culture. Ms. Scully is also the founder and CEO of RPR Marketing Communications, a premier public relations agency in New York City, and a social entrepreneur, media activist, and documentary filmmaker. She is a leading communications and media consultant, and she speaks at schools and conferences and companies around the world. She's a 3-time Emmy Award-winning and Academy-nominated producer of The Invisible War, the powerful 2012 film about the epidemic rapes of women and men in the military. She's also Academy Award-nominated producer of the song Till It Happens to You, sung by Lady Gaga, the theme song for the film The Hunting Ground. Ms. Scully has also produced upwards of 100 documentary films, shining a light on some of the most challenging social issues of our time. She is also the founding sponsor of the Athena Film Festival in New York City, which supports and highlights women in filmmaking. And she is the co-director, the co-executive producer, and the founding and sustaining sponsor of Women's Media Center Live with Robin Morgan, which is an award-winning, nationally and internationally syndicated radio program and podcast on 111 countries and on Apple iTunes. And here is Regina Scully. Regina, my dear, welcome back to Women's Media Center Live. Good to have you back.
Great to be back, Robin. Thank you so much for the invitation.
Well, I wanted to do this for some time and to talk about your films because you're a wonderful filmmaker. But then this special occasion arose, which was very welcome in all these dark times. And a special occasion was that you, because of the film you did, What Would Sophia Do, which you should tell us about, but you went to, by invitation, Sophia Loren's 90th birthday party, which is quite an accomplishment. And I wanted you to tell about it. I wanted you to tell everything. What did you eat? And who was there? And how was it? And was it wonderful? Because I bet it was.
Wow, how wonderful. Well, I did celebrate recently. Her birthday is September 20th. She did turn 90 this year, and I was invited to her birthday by her and her family, especially her son, Eduardo Panti, who is a very dear friend and a colleague. He's also the director of her, really her final film, her swan song, so to speak, which is called The Life Ahead. It's on Netflix, and honestly, if you haven't seen it, you must. It's a must see, and I recommend seeing it in Italian. With the English.
I will see it. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just, it's masterful directing. It's masterful acting. Just seeing her in her element. They filmed it in Puglia, Italy. The story, there's a young star in it. He was only 11 at the time. A young actor. They call him Ibrahim. So lovely. He's now, 5 or 6 years older and taller. But it's such a beautiful relationship between the young boy and Sophia, and how she saves him, and then he winds up saving her too. And I don't want to give the story away, but it's so beautiful. And my film foundation, called Artemis Rising Foundation.
Yes, I know it well.
We've helped produce over 200 plus films, and we're very proud of them, all along the lines of social justice and recovery. And I mean, just really beautiful stories.
They really are.
Thank you. We're educators in film and storytelling. And we did help produce this film, The Life Ahead. And then, of course, we did, my foundation produced the short documentary that I made about my Italian mother and Sophia Loren. And that one is called What Would Sophia Loren Do? And it is on Netflix also. It's only 32 minutes. We're shortlisted for the award.
How fun. I have 2 good movies to watch tonight. Oh, this is such
Yes, I tell people, date night, fantastic. Whether it's with your your friends or your family or your partner. They're two fabulous, wonderful films, and Netflix was smart enough to really snap them both up.
Mm.
So you can imagine. So working on two of those projects back to back, our two families got very close, and my mom and Sophia got to be sweet, sweet friends. By the
Oh.
way, when they do FaceTiming from Geneva, Switzerland, and Bergen County, New Jersey, and speaking only Italian with
Oh.
Sophia, 80 just turning 90, and my mom is 87. I mean, it's just the sweetest thing.
Oh,
Um,
it's so
by the way,
precious.
it's not cocktail chatter. It's like they dig right into it. They talk right about life. They jump right in.
Of course they do. Of course. Listen, the older you get, the more that happens. You bet.
That's true. Cinecittà is the Italian name. It's the largest film studio
Oh, yes, of
um,
course.
in Europe. It's the largest film studio in Europe. It's headquartered in Rome, Italy, and it's considered the hub of Italian cinema.
Mm-hmm.
They wanted to really recognize Sophia, a treasure in Italy, a treasure really in the world, and
Oh,
a treasure
God,
in
yes.
cinema in general, right? They wanted to recognize this birthday, and they wanted to give her the inaugural award, the keys to the studio. They call it the keys to the studio.
Oh.
And so they figured, let's do it on her birthday and let's do it in Rome. So off we went to this spectacular party for her. They began it with sitting in the wonderful theater. They had just renovated, put color in, and also renovated the quality of her very, very first film, which, by the way, I think she was only 17 or 18, called The Gold of Napoli.
Oh, my
L'Oro
God.
Napoli.
Ah.
And Vittorio Sica was
Of
the Italian
course.
director,
Of
right?
course, of
And
course.
she credits him, by the way, Robin. Sophia credits Vittorio Sica with discovering her. She said he was the first one to really get her,
Really? My
put
God.
her in that film, and they just restored it. Cinecittà restored it, and they played it on her birthday, September 20th. We began in the audience there.
Ah.
They presented her with the keys to the studio.
Mm-hmm.
She had a wonderful acceptance speech there. She was with all her family, including her beautiful granddaughter and her son Eduardo and her other wonderful son Carlo and Eduardo Panti, obviously her two sons. They're very close. And she got the award, said her wonderful acceptance remarks. And then the group, a little smaller subset of that group, went on to the rooftop terrace of the Hotel Naiadi,
Mm-hmm.
which is the Naiadi means the water
The water nymph, right.
Right. And it's one of her favorite hotels in Rome because they even have a Sophia Loren suite there,
Oh.
which they tailor to her needs, and she just loves staying there. But they had the dinner upstairs on the rooftop, gorgeous Indian summer night, half under roof, half under starlight.
Ah.
And it was just gorgeous. I will say they began with caviar and champagne for hors d'oeuvres, and it was, you can imagine just the food, of course.
Yeah, natural. Well, it's Italy, of course.
Right, just spectacular the way they did the food, and just you can tell they were just delighting in in celebrating her. And then it went into the chef came out just to greet her in person, and she picked. That's to say, everything about it was so personal. It was her favorite, simple pasta with the pomodoro sauce, very simple.
Oh.
A little salad, just very, very genuine, delicious, authentic.
The real thing.
And very much like her. No airs, no pretension. Just it was very, very beautifully done, the whole thing, and she was so gracious through all of it, which is what she just has such poise and warmth, and graciously really acknowledged everybody.
She always comes across that way on screen, and I envy you knowing her, because I thought, of course, that your film was quite brilliant, and
Thank
and I loved the idea of what would Sophia do, the whole concept and your mother,
right.
and then setting up the relationship up between your mother and Sophia Loren. It was fantastic. And now this is another whole layer, because that year must have been a very interesting year, because let's see, that same year Gloria turned 90, Steinem, because
Yeah.
this was her 90th birthday, and
Yes.
Jane Goodall. And Jane Goodall. And Gloria had many festivities, not quite as Sophia Loren, but level, but very festive nonetheless. Whereas Jane Goodall loves dogs, apparently. Not, I mean, she does, her life is chimps, but she loves dogs. And so she went to a beach
Uh,
and she got friends, all of whom had dogs, and she invited them all to come with their dogs to the beach and let the dogs run on the beach and have fun. And that was her. And there's the most wonderful photograph I have of Jane Goodall surrounded by about 90 dogs, playing and climbing over her, and her climbing over them. But it's wonderful, and it made me want to live till 90.
isn't well, look how these people inspire us so much, don't they, Robin?
They do. They definitely do.
And they should be celebrated. I know they celebrated Gloria Steinem too, and as she should be. They did that beautiful birthday party for her in New York, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
clearly recognized Sophia. Even Laura Pausini, the woman who sang the theme song,
Yes,
Life Ahead.
that was up for an Oscar, wasn't it?
It was up for an Oscar. Did it win? I think it won.
Oh my God! Oh, Regina, I do adore you, because you're the only person I know who's not certain whether you won an Oscar or not. So
What?
I think did I
Right.
did it win? Did I win that Oscar?
Oh, God,
Oh, I love it.
I not know. It's in Italian. It's lo si. Lo si means seen, and Don
hmm
Warren wrote the words.
Mm.
And let me say, Academy Award. Geez, how could I not remember that? Right, she did perform it.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
it was just so beautiful, and Sophia was very touched because Laura came in. She was working. She had a job going on in Milano, and she came in
Mm.
just to sing. And
Oh,
it was nominated for Best Original Song at the 2021
ah,
Awards. It was nominated. Yeah. And so, but she came in and she sang it to Sophia, and Sophia was so touched by that. She
oh, on the birthday, you mean? Oh, well, that's so
Yeah,
wonderful.
birthday in
Ah,
Rome, which was and it was a surprise. Nobody at the party knew,
ah.
and of course Sophia didn't know either. And she sang for her, and some of her colleagues co-stars were there from The Life Ahead, and it was a real interesting group of people. Valentino, Zubin Mehta was there. They're very, very close friends for years.
My God, what a cast of characters,
I know,
for real.
real. It was a nice mix of people from all over, really, and she was just very touched by it. My gift to her was I commissioned a wonderful portraiture artist. Her name is Janine Carreri Jackson. She works out of Brentwood,
hmm
Connecticut, and I just love her work. I'm a fan of hers. And I said, I really would like to commission as a gift a portrait of Sophia, like in her 80s,
Yeah,
not from her youth. And we found a fabulous
right.
picture of her photograph, and she did a painting of her, so beautiful. And she
Oh,
flew with me to Rome and presented the gift to Sophia in person. And
oh,
I
wow.
know, and she just loved. She said, "This is going to go in my home, and I'm going to put
Ah,
this in my home." Very beautiful. And so, there were a lot of
what a
special things like that not just what we did, but that other people really did, that were personal, genuine,
mm,
and heartfelt. And so that's what it made the whole evening so magical, because this was going on. The chef came out and did her favorite menu. Laura Pausini came in and sang for her. She had her commissioned
ah,
portrait done, and things like this were just happening
ah.
throughout the whole time. So we were very, very excited for her. And of course, it got a ton of press, and which means more people will watch The Life Ahead, and also what
Yes.
Loren do on Netflix. I'm sure both films got a nice bump in viewership. And then the other thing that was so beautiful that came from this too, Robin, was the Academy of Motion Pictures
Mhm.
is doing all this month is doing a tribute to her. Um, so they're paying
Oh.
tribute to her, and they're doing it. The Academy Museum is doing it with Cinecittà. They're paying tribute.
Mhm.
Called La Diva di Napoli because she was
Oh,
born.
'cause she was from Napoli.
Yes, that's exactly right. She was actually born in Rome but raised in Naples.
Yeah, she
And
was a poor girl, wasn't
very,
she?
very. She grew up
Yeah.
absolutely, poor and without a father. Without a father, he
Mhm.
abandoned them. Her mom and her sister. Her mom supported
Mhm.
them, working single mother, and at a very young age, Sophia went off and really helped support the family, and then, of course, developed this whole career. But for the months, moving forward, there's this whole screening series going on at the Academy of Motion Pictures. People can watch
Oh.
films, which is really
Oh, how wonderful.
no,
I will never forget, ever, 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 Two Women, which I saw when I was, I think, a teenager,
that's right.
and saw again and again, and yeah, because I'm 83 now, believe it or not.
Wow,
I don't know how that happened. Last week I was 27, and then I woke up and boom, there I was, 83. But it was a it was incredible,
that's
and she was so riveting, and the performance was so staggering.
that's right.
And I went back again and again and again. I couldn't get enough of it, but I've seen so many. I think I've seen perhaps all, if not almost all, of her films. She's just a genius. She's brilliant,
That's right. I was
absolutely brilliant.
19. You're right. She was brilliant. And Robin, she in fact won, first time a foreigner won the Academy Award. And she won it for that role in Two Women in 1961 or 62. She won it for that film. And she
Ah,
beat out everyone that year. She beat out, Natalie Wood and oh God, the list was, really
yeah,
prolific. And
yeah.
but anyway, it was her year. It was her year, you're right. That film dared to speak of rape. You know,
Exactly,
It-
exactly, and I had never seen it on screen. I had never seen it wasn't really mentioned, you remember people lowered their voices when they meant, well, she was raped.
that's right.
They would sort of whisper it. I mean,
Yeah,
and the idea that there'd be rape crisis centers and that there'd be rape counseling and that there'd be, I mean, it would be out and up and in the open was unheard of, and the women's movement did that among 1,000 other things.
true.
Um, but it was so graphic, and her grief was so real
Yes,
that it just blew me
yes.
away. I couldn't
And it
get
was
out of my
mother and
seat.
daughter that were both raped in the church. You know,
That's right.
so
That's
when
right.
it was the first Oscar ever given for a performance in a foreign language movie.
Was it? Oh my
Yes,
God.
and it was released in
Uh,
1961. So it's It really was extraordinary what the film did, as you just said. To your point, very aptly put.
yeah, yeah. It was brilliant.
Yeah,
Well, tell me what else you are doing these days, my dear, because I know you're always making a film or finishing a film
it's
or
true.
winding up a film or something with a film.
Well, I'm always interested in films that have some that are going to that I call them DNA changers that we're not the same after having right, that are literally our molecular DNA structure, our cells are not different. And that's what art
Yeah,
can do for us. Music, art,
that's right.
like we can not be the same, right? After
It
hearing
goes it
it.
goes beyond and right under the jargon, and it goes directly into the heart,
That's right.
and there's no
That's right.
nothing that can possibly substitute for that.
There, there,
Yeah.
there really isn't, Robin. You're right, and so it's why I'm so passionate about education and healing through the arts. And of course I've focused on the area of film, and it's usually on issues of recovery, whether it's recovery of our mental state, recovery of our
Hmm.
body, recovery of the earth.
Yeah,
I've done a whole trilogy of the recovery of our soil. No good soil, no good food. No good
that's right.
food, and we're in trouble. So, we did Kiss the Ground, then we did Common Ground, and then our third film is going to be Groundswell, which is what the world is doing at large to help really build up and nutrify our soil. So that's a passion of mine. I'm working on a series that's called The Root to Good Health, ROOT, which is really about the health of our oral biome, our mouth, our gums, our teeth. Same thing. If we don't have a healthy oral biome, it affects our brain health, our heart health, and our gut health, which I find is just a fascinating subject. So I'm doing a whole series on that, which I love.
Wow.
And yeah.
Wow.
Just,
what I love about these films is, and this is true of a lot of the work that you do, is that it links science and I don't know what to, spirituality has been a much misused word, but metaphysics, let's say.
Yes.
You know what I mean. I mean, and so but there's always a scientific, firm structure to it. There's a root, so it's not off there whiffling in the distance. I mean, and it isn't navel gazing, and it isn't. It's real science, but at the same time, there is an emotional, a non-fearing emotional edge to it that is quite profound, and that's, I think, an unbeatable combination.
I couldn't agree more. I couldn't agree more. We have another few films. They're on Netflix, and they're all on the popular streamers. This series is by Louis Schwartzberg. It's called The Fantastic Fungi, which fungi meaning mushrooms. The Fantastic Fungi. It's on Netflix.
Oh.
It's all on, to your point, the magic of mushroom mycelium that's on the whole surface of the Earth's floor, and the magical healing properties of our mycelium right under our feet. And it's a magical, powerful film because it is marrying just what you were saying, the science of Paul Stamets, who's been talking about the principles, medicinal principles of mycelium, mushroom mycelium, and also just the magic of our planet Earth. So that's a film I highly recommend too, along with the Kiss the Ground series by Josh and Rebecca Tickle. But these things I love, and of course, The Root to Good Health is all about biologic dentistry, which we're going to hear more and more about. More and more people are going to pay attention to their teeth for overall health, brain health, heart health, and gut health.
Fascinating. It really is fascinating, and it hooks me on two subjects that I mean, on two levels or planes that I am particularly vulnerable to and love. I mean, which is a sort of poetic sensibility to it, but then also hard science. It's very special.
That's right.
It's very special what you do, my dear. Bravissima.
No, thank you. Thank you, Robin. And then, listen, you and I, we're always going to be passionate about the power of the feminine in our world in general, and the wisdom of our matriarchs. I'll finish with one other special projects, and it's sort of part two of what I did with my mom on film with What Would Sophia Loren Do? We're now working on a book together because she's had decades of beautiful poetry, my mom, and she's a beautiful writer. And so she, she's all of 5'1", by the way. And so I remember I called her a little bunny one day. I said, "Oh, Mom, you're like a little bunny. You're such." And she said, "I'm not a bunny. Don't call me that." I said, "Well, what are you?" She said, "I'm a panther." And I said,
"Oh, I beg your pardon."
I beg your
pardon.
I know. And
don't mess with her.
7, by the way. And I said, "Wow, Mom." I said, "That's a ferocious animal." And she said, "I know." She said, "But," she said, "This
it's beautiful.
This panther wears lace." And so, yes, we have a book coming out. It will come out on Mother's Day, 2025. And it's This Panther Wears Lace, Poetry and Prose from a Wise Matriarch. And it's just
precious. Beautiful. I want a copy. I'm putting in now for a copy.
I love that about you. Well,
listen, us 80-year-olds
I know
have to stick together. We're a militant group, and I'm shrinking. I want you to know. I mean, I was once a stately Amazonian 5'3", and of course I've lost height. And tall friends say to me, Gloria says, and they all say, "Oh, that's all right. I've lost in inches too." But she started out at 5'10",
Yeah.
whereas you start out at 5'3". Well, I'm now 4'11". I'm 4'11".
Well,
And so, yeah, but I comfort myself, Regina, by telling myself that was exactly the height of Emily
and
Bronte.
that's right. And Robin, tiny but mighty is all I have to say.
Oh,
Okay?
sweetheart.
Tiny but mighty. You are, oh, please. You may be shrinking an inch here or there, but somehow you're getting more and more awards, Robin. So, you know what? I mean, I think it's a good trade-off. You're
Well,
in your prime. You're in your prime.
thank you, darling. I came out with a new book of poems and another new book of
Oh,
poems, and so that makes me happy at least, and I feel
yeah,
very good about that. We'll
yeah,
have to do something to save this planet from this administration, but we'll think of it. I don't know what it is, but we'll think of something,
yeah.
and it will be what would Sophia think of, and it will be what would,
That's right. It will be the arts.
you know,
It will be
yeah, it'll be the arts.
the
Damn right, it'll
arts.
be the arts.
And also, Robin, it will be, what gives me such great hope? And it's why
What?
I try to spend less time howling at the moon and more like just keep putting, just investing in the arts and it's the young generation of talent, because I look at these new generations coming up and honestly, Robin, they're going to correct things. Mark my words,
Yes, I
they're
think.
already doing it and they're going to continue doing it. And my investment in vote and hope and faith is in these up and coming generations. They are so extraordinarily smart. They don't see the world in color and gender. They don't see the world in, hate talk and violence. They just don't. It's going to,
That's right.
so as the years go on, and they will march on, because time waits, for the tide and time waits for no man, as they say. And so the time will march on, and these new generations are going to take the helm. They will.
Yeah, yeah.
And
I
things
think
will
so.
be
I think you're right. I hope you're right, and we need that. And it's a wonderful note to end the season on, my dear.
I
And
love
it's your season as well, because I should say this and thank you publicly, because it was listeners, pay attention. It of course was Regina, who was the founding sponsor for Women's Media Center Live, and who's to this day is a sustaining sponsor, and she's the mother of Women's Media Center Live, and some very fancy producer's name kind of thing. But I think of you as the mother,
Thank you.
and I think that's a good thing to think of.
You know what? That's a moment of a lifetime, and I thank you so much for that. I'm a fangirl of yours forever.
Oh, darling, take care now. And I'm very glad you went to Sophia Loren's party, and that more good things are coming out of it. More books,
Yeah.
more goodies.
Yes.
And I'll see and read them all.
Thank you.
All right, darling, take care.
Thank you for having me on your wonderful show. I'm so proud of you and proud to be a part of it.
We have to take one more break, but then I will return directly with some, some fighting words. The Women's Media Center, founded in 2005 by Jane Fonda, Gloria Steinem, and myself, is a progressive, nonpartisan, nonprofit organization working to make women visible and powerful in media. You can learn more about the WMC at womensmediacenter.com.
You're listening to Women's Media Center Live with Robin Morgan.
This fragile ball, this small blue planet, flecked with white clouds, this lovely place, this earth, those two are fighting words. We've all been understandably dispirited, even despaired, by the election. But just because Donald Trump and his ilk are climate deniers, climate change deniers. Doesn't mean we need to despair. On the contrary, it means we need to pick up our pace, because a majority of Americans are alarmed about climate, including a majority of the people who voted for him. So what that tells you about the brilliance of our populace is a whole other discussion, but still. So U.S. voters do show strong support for climate action and climate action policies, even that. And U.S. voters, like it or not, and I'm not happy with it, do set the tone for the rest of the world. Lamentably, regrettably, mournfully, but we do. 86% support funding farms to absorb more carbon. 77% support job training for farmer fossil fuelers workers to train in other ways. 77% support tax rebates for energy efficient policies. 74% support tax policies for negotiating CO carbon as a pollutant. 76% support regulating CO as a pollutant and taking into account support for clean energy. Over the past 8 years, the renewable energy transition has accelerated faster than anybody thought possible. So that should counter a lot of bad news. The World Energy Outlook 2024 report states that clean energy is entering the energy system at a, quote, unprecedented rate. Yay! The amount of renewables worldwide is predicted to grow 2.7 times by 2030. Although Trump still clings to oil, gas, and coal and plans to increase U.S. fossil fuel drilling here in this country, the world, the rest of the planet, has moved on. What we have now is actually unstoppable, says Christiana Figueres, who presided over the COP that produced the Paris Agreement for a livable future. And the New York Times finds this direction unstoppable. The direction is unstoppable. What we're focused on is scale and speed, but not direction. The Inflation Reduction Act, which Biden, to his eternal praise, should take pride in, great pride, is simply the most important U.S. climate policy ever passed. It isn't perfect. It's nowhere near perfect, but it is not just something. It's more than something. It's historic. It's true that the COP process is flawed, as several climate leaders, including former UN Chief Ban Ki-moon and former UN Climate Secretary Christiana Figueres and former UN Climate Envoy Mary Robinson, noted in an open letter sent a few weeks ago, calling for fundamental overhaul that shifts from negotiation to implementation. That I love. Let's just do it. Rather than giving up on the process established by the UN to identify pathways to a sustainable planet and healthy environments for all countries, we have to continue to come together as a community of nations. We have to recognize the disproportionate impact of the nature on climate crises of the countries and that are least responsible for the crises. In other words, those who have contributed almost nothing to the crises, and recognize the disproportionate nature of that impact, and not hold them responsible, but agree on what must be done, and most importantly, accelerate action, whether the contribution to disaster has been little or lots, because the future of the planet depends on it. The big item on the agenda of this year's COP are climate finance and the NDCs, the nationally determined contributions, which are each country's plans to reduce emissions. It always boils down to dollars and cents. Targets were set in the Paris Agreement of 2015, and next year an accounting of where countries are in meeting those targets, referred to as the Global Stocktake. That will be undertaken at the COP to be convened in Brazil. So, scientists say that in order to limit global warming to 1.5 degrees Celsius, the world must cut greenhouse gas emissions by 60% by 2035. This goal looks unachievable at the moment, but scientists remind us that any progress in reducing warming, even so small as 1/10 of a degree, will make a significant difference in avoiding the most catastrophic impacts of climate change. And when countries signed the Paris Agreement in 2015, they decided to set a new collective, quantified goal on climate finance. It's called the NCOG, to replace the existing goal of $100 billion per year. The NGOC is meant to be adopted this year at COP28 in Azerbaijan. But whether it's adopted or not, we have adopted it. We make the difference. We are the future. And that's our show for this week. You can follow me on social media at The Robin Morgan. You can check out my blog at robinmorgan.net, and you can find my new novel, Parallax, and my just-out new book of poems, Harvesting Darkness, wherever books are sold. Portions of this program were taped earlier. Views expressed here do not necessarily represent the WMC. Here's the family for Women's Media Center Live. Executive producer, as well as founding and sustaining sponsor, Regina K. Scully. WMC president and co-executive producer for this program, Julie Burton. I'm Robin Morgan, your producer and host. Thank you for being with us. Join us next time on Women's Media Center Live.